Hi everyone, welcome to JRS. My name is Lucky. I am the technical manager for business applications. So today we are back with a new hot topic in the market, that is MCP servers. Basically Microsoft also launches MCP server for Business Central as well. So today we will talk about it. What is the MCP? Basically we will understand the concept of MCP, how it will be useful for Business Central and for the developers as well. So basically I have created some PPT or kind of a presentation for you where a beginner level and an expert level will be related to this. If you are not aware of what MCP is, let me clear you that. That is a basically modern context protocol. It is a kind of thing like we are currently using so many AI tools like ChatGPT, Cloudy and everything you are using day-to-day life. But the challenge is AI is basically working on a global data which is available on Google, which is a public data. But what if you want to use the AI for your personal data, for your protected data, for your ERPs or something like that? How you will do that? Currently there are solutions in the market, like you have to create the raw APIs for each and every data set, then only you can communicate with the AI. MCP has been introduced by Anthropic in November 2024. They have built a concept like basically any AI tool which supports the MCP, it creates a kind of a standard where you can use this standard and integrate your custom data or your personal data with the AI capability. So basically this is a kind of a USB-C port. Like in earlier mobile stages, you have know that each mobile have a different port to charge that particular mobile. So that was a challenging one. So everyone uses a C port in all mobiles and lives got easier. Like you can charge your mobile with any type of charger. So that's why MCP is like that. AI without MCP is a blind AI basically. So it only works on pre-existing data that is available on the Google or internet. But now you can integrate your own customized data, your own personal data, your ERP data, organizational data with the help of MCP. This is basically a new protocol, you can say. A standard protocol has been introduced that you can use and reuse in many ways. So that's the key benefits here has defined, like universal connector. One protocol connects AI to many systems basically. If you have multiple AI tools and they support the MCP, you can definitely connect your multiple data through the MCP with different AI tools. And it is basically secured and standardized because it has control access, it has consistency and data access. And there are two-way communication. That is the most important thing. Currently AI what is doing, you can just request for a query and it gives you the response, but in this MCP it can read the data, write the data and perform some actions as well. That's the most important thing. Now why we need this MCP? Before MCP you have to do the custom integrations, because AI models have the capability of connecting with your custom data, but you have to create your custom APIs. Each and every data source will be connected with that particular APIs and you have to build the logic for that also. But now MCP is only one standard protocol that everyone can use and obviously communicate with the AI with the current data and the live data. That's why we have mentioned, like before MCP you have to use the custom integrations, and after it is a standardized protocol. Every AI model needs custom code for each data sources earlier, but not now. Now you build once and use everywhere. That's the main feature, and it is a universal standard for API integration and AI integration as well, and that's a future proof and scalable solution also. Now make you understand what the MCP architecture is. Basically MCP has three components. One is the MCP host. What is the MCP host? Basically the application or the tool where the end user is basically processing their natural language inputs, and MCP host will basically send that data to the MCP client. Inside that particular host there is an MCP client will be used, and MCP client will basically communicate to the MCP server where the actual agents are performing their operations. That's the architecture and core component of it. Now what MCP server exposes? Basically MCP server exposes the resources, tools and prompts. Resources are something, the information from your database that will retrieve the information that from the internal or the external databases and return the data without executing any actions. That's the resources part. And what tools will we do? Basically it will exchange the information with side effects. What side effects? Like you can say perform calculation on API request, execute business logics, and also it will have create, update and delete the data. That is the most important thing that tools are doing in this. And the prompts are basically for the reusable templates for LLM communication. LLM is large language models basically, and predefined workflows, context aware instructions and all. Now let's come to the business central MCP. Now that what I have talked about is MCP. Now it is for business central. Microsoft has API capabilities for business central earlier. We have REST APIs. We can directly integrate any tool with anything who supports the REST APIs. What MCP has changed? Because if you want to integrate the business central database to an AI tool, like I can say the Power Automate AI Builder, we already have business central connectors. Why do we need this? Because Power Automate AI Builders is basically for automating something, for getting OCR and all these things, not that much in detail, but MCP can now support for more than Power Automate. If you have any other AI tools like the Copilot agent, and different markets have different AI tools, and then if we have to integrate the business central, you cannot. But now if that AI tool supports the MCP, you have that MCP server now. You can create a bunch of APIs and plug in your MCP server for business central, and that MCP server will directly connect it to that AI tools MCP server. Now all those APIs that you have defined in your business central MCP server will be accessible to that particular AI tool. How it is? It will connect the AI agent to business central, access the business central APIs that I mentioned, and also the most important thing is configurable permissions. Not all your data will be revealed to the MCP server. Only the authorized and accessible data that you define as per the permission sets it will only allow that data. So it will maintain the security also. If I want to have an MCP server for customer database only, I will reveal the customer sales order and kind of things in that particular server. So it will always keep secure my financial data, my manufacturing data and all your business secrets, definitely, and it is secure by default. Now the question is connection options. What are the connection options for AI tools? BC connector and BC MCP server. Now you have two options. Already Microsoft has introduced the Power Automate and Power Platform thing. Power Platform has already many connectors by default, and you can also create the custom connectors as well. But BC connectors has, what is the difference between the BC connector and MCP server? BC connector can only use the simple CRUD operations, and it is a low code integration basically. You have like Power Automate flows, user permission based, predefined actions, and basically it is for workflow automation, I can say about. But MCP server is basically direct API access via MCP. It has AI driven and direct API management, custom API support, and also multi-step automated workflow. Basically Power Automate, I can say you want to automate workflows, you want to automate certain tasks, you want to have this file to this folder by automatically, kind of small stuff. But MCP is a bigger picture. You have a chatbot, you can just directly ask the natural language input and it will retrieve the data from the basically server and give the response. That is what the MCP servers fulfilling here. So how it works? Basically this is the complete flow, where the user will request in natural language. Like suppose I will give you an example. I want to track my status for this order. I am a customer and I have that customer agent for your business central. So I can ask like, this is the order number, what is the status of this? AI will process this LLM request that will be interpreted by LLM and identify the needed tools. For this particular query, what tools I need, AI will detect that. For that tool discovery, MCP client search for available tools, whatever you have exposes to that, and this MCP client will call that particular API by the MCP server, and MCP server basically will include that particular business central API, and business central API will definitely give the response as per the request, and AI will translate that response into the LLM again. Like I have requested what is the status of my customer order number this, and the response will be this order has been dispatched, not dispatched, or still pending, kind of that. So basically what we are doing with MCP server, we are bridging the gap between the AI and our custom database. What are the prerequisites? Like if you are a business central functional developer or a client, what are the prerequisite and requirement that you can configure this? For the Business Central, you have to first enable the feature from the feature management. We have, it is under the preview stage, I think so. So you can definitely use it in the sandbox as of now, not in the production. And obtain the MCP admin permission. Basically, if you are a super user, you can directly enable it and use it. In the Business Central, you must have obviously a sandbox environment where you will configure this. And the configuration of after this, you need a Copilot Studio, because agent you will have to create it. How you will create it? Through the Copilot Studio. And to use the Copilot Studio, you must have a user license. For a trial version, you can definitely get a free, but after that you need a user license and available Copilot credit capacity. Basically, this is for AI capabilities and access to create and publish the agents. Obviously, you should have a Copilot admin kind of a role. And the knowledge requirement, what knowledge you would be needed? You should have a basic knowledge of Business Central APIs. You should be familiar with the OData operations like get, post, delete and update obviously. And the basic knowledge of AI agents you should have, or you can get it normally. And how you will configure the Business Central server. I'll also give you a demonstration within the Business Central and Copilot as well. In the parallel screen, you can see that also. In the MCP server configuration, basically you will open the model context protocol server configuration. This is a page in the Business Central. After opening this, you can create a new configuration and you can add the APIs. You have built the APIs in Business Central. All the APIs list will be available in that, the standard as well and the customized as well. Whatever the APIs you want to choose in that particular MCP server, you can choose it. And you also have the feature of read, modified, create and bound action. You can manage this, the permissions. What if I don't define these permissions? It will by default give the read permission to all those APIs. You can try for the first time with the read only. Once you get the familiarity with that, then only you allow the modify, delete and insert operation. Okay. Then activate the configuration and use the configuration in the Copilot Studio. In the Copilot Studio, when you connect with the environment and company, you will get the MCP servers list there. What are the fields available in that? This is the field list like name of that particular APIs and activate, and the dynamic tool mode. What is the dynamic tool mode? We will cover in the next slide. This is a very important thing. And discover additional options and unlock the edit tools. These are the permissions: allow, read, create, modify, delete and allow bound actions. See, now I come to this point, dynamic tool mode off. Basically, suppose you have 5 to 6 APIs in your MCP servers you have defined, like customer, vendor, item and so on. So how it will be look in the Copilot? Basically, for each object it will give you, suppose you have given all the permission for a particular object like read, create, modify, delete and bound action. It will create 5 lists in the Copilot Studio, like list API v2 customer this, and then again create customer this, delete customer this. So suppose you have 5 APIs and you have defined the 5 into 5, obviously you will have 25 list of that. But Copilot has one limitation. You cannot see the more than 70 pages in the Copilot Studio. So that's why you have to either dynamically on. If you have less APIs, you will definitely do the dynamic off. If you have more APIs, you should have dynamic on. It will actually search for the runtime basis. You can define more than 70 APIs in your MCP server, but you should choose the dynamic mode off or on based on your configurations. Now, this is the Business Central part. You have configured everything. Now it's come to the Copilot Studio. You will have to open the Copilot Studio page where you can open the agent tools. Now you have to add the MCP server tool. There is a section there, MCP server tool. Maybe you can see in the parallel screen. In the MCP server tool, you will have the option to select the Business Central MCP server, which is in the preview stage. That's why it is marked as preview. And then you can connect and authenticate with which environment, company and things you are signing for Business Central. Then configure the inputs like set the environment, company, and review the tools like which tools you want to use like customer API, Business Central API, what are the APIs, and then test the agent and publish and deploy. That's the very simple thing. Just the thing, how complex you want to build your agent, it will obviously take more configurations, more time, more combinations, more instructional text and everything. This is how it will work. Now, what are the best practices to use this? Basically, start with the configuration, like read only access you should use, for my suggestion it is like for the earlier stage, if you are in, you should use only the read only permission, use the descriptive configuration templates and a name. Like suppose you have defined some APIs, or you have defined some API, like API is related to customer, but you have only passed C, ST or something like that. I would suggest you should properly give it a name. It should be descriptive so that AI can detect it properly and use that tool in their LLM request. And test the configuration in sandbox first, then document which API each configuration is exposes for your better understanding. And agent design, how you should design the agent. Provide the clear instruction text to the agent using the instruction field. There is an instruction field in the Copilot Studio for designing the agent. You should definitely clearly define the instructions so that AI can definitely integrate it, or you can say interpret it properly. Use the ChatGPT 5 model, not ChatGPT, sorry, GPT-5 model for best result with MCP. And also test with various phrasing to ensure robust understanding. You should obviously test your agent before giving it to live or UAT. You should have all the prompts, the combinations of prompts that anyone can ask to that particular question. And then add the feedback or the fallback response. Fallback response is something, suppose a user requested something that your agent is not handling, it should have a fallback response that we are not handling this, or it is not supported like that, otherwise an exception can be there. And then the security is basically you should have the proper permission sets, you should have the role based configurations, you should have the read write MCP admin kind of things there. And then the real world use case. Now we have talked about lot about the MCP server, the business central MCP server. What are the use case can be, why we should use this? If you are a new to MCP server, you should have the question, why do I need this? These are the use cases. Like you can create a customer service agent. Normally in today's world, what people are doing, people are creating the vendor portals, customer portals to give to their customers and vendors so that they can check their orders, they can request for the price or something, they can negotiate, and everything can be managed there. But now the question arises, why do we need a separate vendor portal or customer portal? You can directly create a customer agent, vendor agent, and customer can naturally ask a ChatGPT kind of thing like what is the status of my order, and why the payment has not been released. Vendor can ask, and something like that. Things will be delivered in that way. So the perspective, or the you can say industry will be changed as per the MCP grows, the AI grows. Now the things will also, the Satya Nadella already told, like ERP will not like the ERP they are currently. They will be totally based on the agents and AI. That's the things are going towards. So the customer service agent is a kind of thing like query customer information, order history, invoice status through the conversational interfaces. Inventory management, a store or a warehouse person don't need to check in the ERP like go to a report, get the report and then check the things. They can only ask to a ChatGPT kind of thing like what is the status of this particular item, where the quantities are, what are the lots available, everything you can get it with the chats. Now the financial reporting, for the management person this is very difficult. In many ERPs we can see no managerial guy want to log into the system and check the financial reporting. They want either the WhatsApp or something, or a kind of mobile app they will get. Now we will give a kind of a chatbot. They can ask for the financial reporting, generate reports, analyze the GL entries, and also review the financial statements, P&L, EBITDA and everything on a chat. That's a very important thing. Sales order creation, like you have a finance guy and everything, now can be created with this. Anyone can say this is the customer, this is the item, this is the quantity, create a sales order for me. It will create it in the ERP by default. That's the power of this. Approval workflow, anyone can now approve the workflows, the requested documents through the mobile without the mobile app. That's the most important thing here. So the notifications will become like that. Now what are the common challenges we have seen or we can face during this configuration, this implementation or something? Agent can't find the right API. You can get this issues like your agent is not able to find the right API even if you have defined it in your MCP server. What is the possible reason? Because dynamic tool mode or add specific APIs tool explicitly. Either you have not enabled the dynamic tool mode, or either you have to specify a new API, or maybe you have not specified the correct descriptive name so that AI cannot detect it. Also write the operations not working, like you have defined the right permissions but still it is not writing. What is the issue? Verify unblock edit tool is on. in the configuration you should have this particular field on, and the specific permissions are also granted. You should be aware of that. If you have too many tools, more than 70 limit in Copilot Studio, then enable the dynamic tool mode for runtime discovery. That's why I have told you, if you have less APIs in your particular MCP server, you should always disable this. It will definitely detect this. But if you have more than 70, you should enable this. It will discover in the runtime. Agent misinterpret the API description. That's why I am saying, like, API descriptions must be inaccurate, not should be inaccurate, it should be accurate, and it should be related to that particular API. If I am exposing a customer API, it should define like this is the customer master, so that when API needs to understand and AI need to understand, they will choose this particular API. And the permission errors you can face, obviously you will have to resolve that. And agent responses are inconsistent. Why this happens? Because you did not add the clear instruction. You should always use the clear instructions in AI agents. Now, what are the advanced topics you can say? These are the overview of this, and you might have the screen in parallel that you can see what are the steps I have followed to create it in Business Central and the Copilot Studio. Now, you create the custom API and development. You can configure the multi strategy kind of thing, and you can also optimize your APIs based on that. Now, the security and compliance I have already talked about. You should have the authentication and authorization based on that. The data protection is totally feasible in this, because there are audit logs and track of the agent logs, what the agent is doing. You can have all the track records of that. Nothing is blindfolded here, and you have the access control for APIs and everything, and the best practices have also been defined here. Now, what are the learning path of this? You have Microsoft official documentation as well to learn this. We are also welcoming you in our comment section and in our official websites and everything. You can ask the queries directly to us. We will resolve your queries there, and you can have the understanding of beginner, then intermediate, then go to the expert level step by step. These are the official documentation links here, and these are the next steps you should try after this video session, so that you can also get an hands-on experience on the MCP server for Business Central. I promise you this will be a very powerful tool for every organization who want to use the AI. And one day you will have to definitely use the AI, and this is the, you can say, bitter truth. Everyone who don't want to accept this, they will have to accept this one day. So thank you so much for watching this video, and you can ask your queries in the comment section. And please, if you like this video, please like this video, subscribe our channel, and we'll help you. We will happy to help you in any way possible. Thank you.